Hi, this is Koshal again, and in this video we're going to go over the fourth part of the Lightbox Editor, which is the Lightbox Sidebar section. So as usual, to start out, I'm going to give you a joke, and then at the end of this video you'll hear the punchline. This next joke that I'm about to give you, I made up myself, so if you thought the previous two were pretty bad, get ready for a new low. Okay, so the joke is, what is President Obama's favorite vegetable? And I'll give you the punchline at the end. All right, let's go in. So when you log in, once again, click into the name of the Lightbox or the editor to go into Lightbox Editor. And then you'll see on the left side of the screen the different sections you can go into, with layout being the default. So we're just going to scroll down and go to this Lightbox Sidebar section. So basically what this section does is it allows you to specify what kind of lightbox you'd like. And we have two options here. So the widget type, you're going to either have lightbox or you're going to have sidebar. So we're going to start out with lightbox. And what a lightbox is basically a modal that pops over your screen. We have several options for the way that that modal can pop over. First, there's the animation effect. And I would just keep this what it is. And if you change it, I would recommend that you change both the open effect and the close effect. But there are several options here that you can change it to. Like I said, just keep it at fade, and that'll probably work really well for you. Animation easing, same thing. Just keep it at swing. If you do want to change it, just change both the open effect easing and the close effect easing to the same. Animation speed. So what's really important here is that the animation speed will actually get slower as you adjust this bar to the right. So if I click here and pull this to the right, it's actually going to animate slower, and if I pull it to the left, it'll animate faster. By default, it's at about 500, and this works really well if you want people to see the animation effects. If you just want it to instantly pop on the screen in a snap, then I would drag it all the way down to 100, but otherwise I would just keep it at 500. The next section is a position. So the position is going to default to the middle of the screen for a lightbox, and what that means is the lightbox is just going to show up in the middle of the screen, and I can save and preview it to show you. So when I preview it, the lightbox is just going to pop right in the middle of the screen. There you go, and close it out. And if you change this, what will happen is these are 10% increments. So if I move it to the left to 0, it's going to move it 50% over to the left. And if I move vertical to 0, it's going to move it 50% to the top of the page. So this should now, when I do a save and preview, it should be on the upper left-hand corner of the page almost all the way. So save and preview this. There you go. So I'm going to change this back to 5 and 5 to get to the center of the page, and that's what it'll default to on all of our light boxes. This next section here, the screen overlay background, this is very important because what it allows you to do is it allows you to select what you'd like the screen behind the light box to look like. So right now, as you can see, it's black. And what this means is that when the light box pops over, your website in the background won't be visible at all. It'll just go completely black. You can change it to whatever color you want it to. If you want it to go completely red, you can have it go completely red. But in a lot of cases, you want it to kind of match your website, but you also want people to see that they're on your website in the background. So let's say your website had a bluish theme. What I could do here is I can select blue here, and then there's a slider here. So the slider, what I want to do is I want to slide this over to make it kind of grayish, and it's very important you select choose then. So if I just click outside of the box, it doesn't save it. So you want to slide it over, pick your color, slide it over. If I slide all the way over, it's just going to be completely transparent. So we want a little bit of blue in the background. Click choose. And in this case now, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to, on a blank site when you preview it, you're going to be able to see the site in the background, but it'll also have a little tinge of bluishness to it. And as with all the other options that we have, you can use a gradient, you can use an image if you want to. I wouldn't recommend doing any of that. Okay, so this next section here is a screen overlay click action. And what this means is that if I turn this on, when someone clicks the background of the lightbox without clicking into the lightbox will automatically close. So if a user doesn't click this X symbol, but instead they just click the background, it's going to close the lightbox. If that's turned off, they'll have to manually close the lightbox by clicking on that X. So I recommend keeping this off, but you could turn it on if you wanted to. Close button display on the lightbox. So this is just to have a close button on the lightbox. So if you turn this off, there's going to be no close button. And in some cases, you don't want to have a close button because you have one that's built into the lightbox. And I'll give you an example. So I'm going to go back to the layout here, and I'm just going to add a button really quickly. Button 4, download now, it's off. I'm going to make this just say X. It's a giant button, so this could close Lightbox. Obviously, we don't want a background on it, so what I'm going to do is, in all states, we don't want a border. None. And the background of this also, we don't want, in all states, we don't want a background. And we don't want a gradient, of course. Oh, see, I didn't select it. So in all states, we don't want a background, but I have to click choose. There we go, and we don't want a gradient. Turn the gradient off, and I am left with this white X here. So what I could do is I could change font size on this. Let's make this font all states. Let's make it black. Let's change it to a 10. Ooh, that's very small. Change it to 14. So you could, if you wanted to, if you didn't want to have a close button, you could create your own close button here on the lightbox. That would close it out when someone, so now if someone clicks on this X, it'll close it out. So in some cases you have a close button, and in that case what will happen is, now let's go back to this section here. If I turn this on, see it says top right close button display, I'm going to turn it on. Let's save and preview this lightbox. So notice how you have two closes now. So in this case you don't want this close button here because you already have one. So all you would do is you would close button display, turn it off. And now when you save and preview this lightbox, see the close button. If someone clicks on this close button, it's going to close the lightbox out. So we're almost done here. The last section right now is, so close button's off, and this is just if the close button was on, where you want the close button to be. So it can be, in that case it was a top right, but it can be top left, bottom right, or bottom left. And then close button offset, that just means if you want it to hover a little bit horizontally or vertically, you can change the offset there. So that is it for this section. The final portion of the section is just to give you the punchline to the joke. So if you don't remember, the joke was, what is President Obama's favorite vegetable? And also keep in mind that I made this up, so it's not going to be that good of a joke. The punchline is broccoli. Looking forward to the next video. Bye.